A synchronicity that blew my mind. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Macabre Magpie. So a few years back, I was listening to 2 episodes of Duncan Trussell's podcast, where he was interviewing his dying mother. The first interview was after a cancer diagnosis, the second soon before her death, which was a few years prior to my listening. Both are extremely honest and raw conversations between a mother and son on the verge of the end of their relationship, and, as such, it's quite affecting, and I had to stagger the listening over 8 to 9 hours. As I was nearing the end of the second interview and Duncan seemed to be wrapping the episode up, I decided to Google his mother's name to see if there was any collection of her quotes online, as she'd come out with a lot of mind-blowing philosophy during the conversations. The first result on the page contained a quote from her in the preview text that I had not seen before, and much to my surprise, the very second I began to read it, she said the exact words I was seeing as the quote played out on the podcast, in complete unison with my reading of them. I had to stop the audio at that point and make sure that the universe hadn't just imploded around me, as I was so stunned. But the full quote reads as follows: "I may leave this plane of existence sooner rather than later, but the love isn't going anywhere. I am as certain of that as I am of anything. I want to say that I will be with you in ways that neither you or I can comprehend. I'm spread out throughout the world, not by anything I'm doing, but I'm with you. Just pay attention, listen for me. I'm here. I'm there." I actually sent an email to Duncan and relayed the above story to him, to which he replied that he felt like she was sending him a message through me. I'm not sure I can quite go that far, as I don't really believe in an afterlife, but I found it pretty amazing in any case, sheer coincidence or not. I saw my grandmother in the wrong place. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Shistoma Never Ends. I've skimmed the top posts in this sub for hours, although not recently. I accidentally posted this to a less populated sub of the same name yesterday, so I guess it's technically a repost, though I meant for it to be here. I've never had a glitch occurrence myself until yesterday. I went over to my grandmother's because she had a computer issue and asked me to look at it. I parked and walked down the pool. Usually that's where she is in the summer. As I'm walking and about 30 feet away, I notice a duck swimming on the surface. I grab my phone to take a picture. On my phone, if you double press the power button, it's a shortcut to the camera. I double press and it starts, but freezes and turns to a black screen. Not something I can recall it doing before. I look up and see a figure moving and duck down behind the deck by the filter. This isn't uncommon, as my grandmother fiddles with the filter whenever she cleans or does maintenance in the pool. I notice a bright pink color. I figure that's her shirt, but it's hard to see much more than that because I can only see through deck spindles from where I'm standing. Then I hear her say, "Shoo!" and the duck reacts. It jumps on the side of the pool and then it flies away. Just as it goes out of sight, my phone unglitches and the camera comes on. I laugh because she has told me before that she's had problems with ducks making her pool home. I start walking around the deck and say something to announce I'm here. I turn the corner and face the filter. No one's there. I look back toward the house. I walk around the pool. No one. I walk back up the house, go inside and call out. She answers she's in the back bedroom. I go back there and find her at her computer wearing a bright pink shirt. Needless to say, this is messing with my head a bit. It's almost as if my brain's way of dealing with this is to push it out. I asked her if she was down at the pool, as if a 73-year-old woman could sprint past me up a hill without me seeing. She was not. I ended up telling her, and later my boyfriend, what I saw. They were both strangely apathetic about it. The whole thing just feels weird. House that was never there before, and a street that makes my head hurt. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Donnie Janus Darko. I was outside one day and I looked down the street where an empty lot was, and now was a house. I asked a few neighbors about it and they said that it had always been there. Now I'd lived in this exact location twice in my life, and it was always an empty lot. And there's a street in my town going down. It always makes my head hurt, like it's not supposed to exist or empty out where it does. I got in trouble when I was little for something I 100% didn't do. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Little Wolf 0119. It happened when I was around 5, but I remember this very vividly and have thought and talked about it often throughout my entire life. My mom and I used to tell it as a story to friends. I got in trouble for cutting off all of one of our cat's whiskers with scissors. I know for a fact I did not, because she came to me out of the blue, it seemed, and when she showed me the cat's whiskers, it was absolutely the first I had seen or heard of the incident, and I was really sad for my cat. I would have never cut my cat's whiskers. I would have cried and begged for someone not to harm my cat. I was a very girly, sensitive child, and there's no way I could have taken a pair of scissors to my cat. And besides, I would have been terrified of getting in trouble for it. And I told my mom over and over that it was not me, and I remember being so beyond frustrated that neither she or my dad would believe me. I didn't know how to convince them, so to this day they still think I did it. Every time it's brought up, I still insist that it was not me, and my mom just laughs. I'm 20 now. I have no siblings, and the whiskers didn't just fall off. They were quite obviously cut with blunt ends. The night my friend somehow teleported rooms. Posted in the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by What a Time It Was. I try to think of myself as a skeptical person, and for the most part, I am. I'm capable of taking most things with a grain of salt, and leaving room for a scientific explanation and whatnot. However, there have been some things in my 28 years of life that have been unable to explain, and this is one of them. I've been sitting here reading funky stories and whatnot all morning, and I figured it's high time I actually start sharing some of my weird or interesting occurrences. One night in the summer of 2013, my friend and I were hanging out at my mother's apartment, where I'd been staying since I'd recently moved back to town. She was out for the night, so it was just he and I. My mother lives in a government housing, so she does not have a very big apartment. Coming into it from the front door, you're immediately in her living room, with one door of normal size on the left that goes to her bedroom and bathroom, and a hallway straight ahead that leads shortly to the dining room and kitchen. We had been watching movies and listening to music in the living room, and we decided to move to the bedroom so we could relax and watch something rather than being stuck on the couch. I stood up from the couch and grabbed my phone and stuff, got the TV switched off, and he also got the couch where he'd been sitting beside me and was gathering his things from the coffee table. I began to walk the 6 feet or so to the bedroom door. My friend was behind me, and I saw him behind me out of the corner of my eye for a good few feet, still gathering up his phone, cigarettes, etc. We were talking about what we wanted to watch next when I realized I should remind him to grab his wallet and make sure he didn't leave anything to possibly forget when he left later, because he's rather scatterbrained. I was literally in the doorway that leads to the bedroom, and I grabbed the door frame with my left hand and turned to address him directly. I had remembered that his wallet was already in the bedroom on the nightstand where we'd been earlier that evening watching TV, and I'd gotten out, "Hey, your wallet is..." when I noticed he wasn't behind me. This immediately puzzled me, and I whirled around only to find him standing in the bedroom already, somehow beside the bed near the nightstand, with his wallet in his hand holding it up to show me. We stared at each other for a second, and both kind of did the, whoa, what thing before I immediately started freaking out, asking him what happened. How could he have ever possibly gotten around me into the bedroom in the span of around 2 to 3 seconds without me noticing, asking him what he remembered just happening, and trying to generally just calm us both down and figure out what had happened. I was postulating everything. There was absolutely no way he could have squeezed through behind me without me feeling him. Neither of us are that lithe. I thought maybe I had lost a moment in time, but I never moved from the doorway, and again, he'd have to squeeze past me to get in the room. There was no way he got in before I started walking towards it, because I was still talking to him behind me as I walked to the door, and I could see him the majority of the short amount of time it took me until I turned around in the doorway to face him in the living room, where he should have still been. After sitting around for 30 minutes and rehearsing what we both remembered of the very short encounter, going over every possible reasoning we could think of, explaining both of our sides of the thing that happened, which was incredibly simple and a very, very small amount of time, we both just gave up. We couldn't explain it. There was no possible way he could have moved around me or before me into the bedroom, and there was no moment in between the time I got to the doorway and saw him behind me and when I turned and saw him in the bedroom that I was not standing directly in the doorway, and some of the time with my body to one side of it and my arm to the other side grabbing the door frame. We were both pretty weirded out for the rest of the night, and we couldn't stop talking about it. But we eventually gave up on trying to explain it and just let it rest, trying to ignore it instead. I still have no speculation of what happened aside from a glitch in the Matrix. I never felt like I lost a moment in time. I never felt him move near me. All I know is the span of just a couple of seconds, if that, my friend somehow was in one room and then another, with absolutely no logical explanation of how it happened, how he got there, or what possibly could have gone on to allow such a thing. Still to this day, we talk about it every now and then when we get together to see if it's happened to one of us again, or if either of us have come up with something else or noticed something. And the answer is always no on all accounts.